Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be testing the Icona Vulcano in Asphalt 9 multiplayer for the second time, this time at 5 stars. It is not 100% maxed as I am missing a few epic import parts, and the epic import parts that I had I put onto top speed, because that is one thing that this car really needs in order to compete with cars like the Chiron. And we are facing a Chiron in this first race. So this video is a compilation of 4 sequential races, and you may be thinking, why are there only 4? Well, these are 4 races in a row that were quite intense all throughout them. I did not cut or speed up anything. This is just the pure 4 races in their raw form. So, at this rank, the Icona can go 246 miles per hour. This is about mid-range for Class S, because the lower ones, like the Egoista, FXXK, and Centenario go around 230. And the higher ones, like the, say, Trinemesis, and Fenner, and Lycan, go like 260 and above. So this car is decidedly mid-Class S. However, as you can see in this race, it's not too bad against cars like the Chiron, at least in multiplayer it seems, because this car right behind me right now is a Chiron. Now, of course, the Chiron is a lot better car. I'm just saying they're not impossible to beat if you're driving an Icona and say that's the only car in the season that's this high and you don't have the Chiron, for example. These races were recorded in the Rush series that happened recently, where the Icona and the Chiron were the top 2 cars, and I managed to finish at position 67 in that, I think, and I would just switch between the Icona and the Chiron, probably using the Chiron more as I got near the end. But yeah, the Icona is definitely not too bad. So here, he passes us finally on the second lap after being on our tail the entire first lap. Now, one thing you have to remember is that the Chiron does have worse nitro efficiency than this car, and while it does have a much higher top speed, it cannot maybe reach as high of a speed when you're going around a bunch of twists and turns and stuff. So I was hoping I might be able to use this to my advantage on this twisty Shanghai track, as well as being able to keep on his slipstream and stay in nitro basically the whole time. As long as he did not get too far ahead, which is what I was afraid was going to happen here. Thankfully, I managed to stay in his shockwave, go up there, and catch up a bit closer to him. This was definitely one of the closest races I played in that season, and at the very end, you'll see why. I knew that my chance to pass him was probably going to be at this final turn here. I was trying to stay in blue nitro to stay in top speed all throughout that grassy section. So here I shockwave right over him and come in first. I might should have knocked him down with that shockwave, but it doesn't really matter. We've come in first against a Chiron, and interestingly, 3 out of the 5 people in that race were in the TA clan or whatever it is. Now, he was in a 4-star Chiron, which is the same that I have. If you would like to see my video about the 4-star Chiron, I do have a video about that, so you can go and check that out if you would like to. I've considered making another Chiron video since I have that special decal now. However, I always like to prioritize making videos of cars that I have never made videos about before, or that I have starred up. You guys have probably noticed that. I'm not sure. I don't think I have made any videos with the same car at the same rank in Asphalt 9 twice. In this race, we're facing another 4-star Chiron. They seem to be quite popular. A lot of people were able to get it at that rank, which would require spending a whole lot of tokens. Now, this Regera event, I want to talk a bit about it now because it's different than the Chiron event in some ways, but close in other ways. So you have to use a bunch of different cars to get the blueprints for the Regera again. However, I do believe that this event is better than the Chiron one for a couple of reasons. For one thing, they don't seem to have many required ranks anymore, only recommended ones, which is good if you're a really skilled player. Then you can do some good stuff with some lower ranked cars. And some of the cars are ones that people probably have from before, such as the Acura 918 or Huayra. Chances are, if you've played the game for a good while, you have at least one of those and can get some good blueprints from it. Now, there is a pack right now out where you can get Huayra blueprints, Pagani blueprints, and Acura blueprints all in the same pack. Now, here's the thing I do not know. I'm not sure if there will be Regera-specific packs. I assume there will be, but since the thing in the Regera event that points to the shop goes to that one, and not any Regera packs, whereas in the Chiron event, even when the Chiron packs weren't there yet, they pointed toward the Chiron packs that would come. This doesn't. So right now, because I'm unsure whether or not Regera packs are truly going to come or not, I don't know whether to tell you guys to buy that special pack or not. If you have a lot of tokens and don't have the 918 Huayra or Acura at all, or not start up very much, you probably could buy some and maybe star them up some to do better in the Regera event. But if you don't have many tokens, you might want to wait a few more days to see if Regera packs come out. After a very close race with that Sharon, he pulled it out in the end, but this next race is a very close race between me and another Icona. Along with the Icona, we also have two F12 TDFs, which, even though their speed was not great, were still very good this season. I made a video about mine at 5-star, go check that out if you haven't yet, and the reason for their being so good, even though their speed is not as great as this one, they go like 15 miles per hour slower than this Icona. Anyway, the reason why they were still good is because their nitro efficiency was so good, meaning that they could keep that speed better than maybe the Icona or even the Sharon could. So it's not like you're going to be beating many Sharons in the F12 TDF, it probably has happened, but the Sharon definitely still a better car. However, against the Iconas, the F12s have done some pretty good damage. It was not easy at all to face them. I would personally still take my 5-star Icona over my 5-star F12 TDF in this season, simply for its speed and being more likely to beat Sharons that way. But yeah, some people are using these F12 TDFs pretty high in the ratings and doing pretty good, so you're definitely not doing a bad choice if you still chose to use it. So in a bit of Asphalt 8 news, I did manage to get my 200th car, the HTT Plether. I got to Champion League last season in my Apollo mostly, used a bit of the Rizvani and the Centenario as well, but mostly the Apollo in the last bit. I still think that's probably the best multiplayer car in that game if you're not at Super Max Pro, in which case the X2 is best. Anyway, I did get that HTT Plether. Unfortunately, I don't have enough S-Class parts to upgrade it. Yes, I ironically have plenty of engines for it, but not enough S-Class parts, probably because of the other S-Class cars recently that have used a whole lot, mainly the Pista and the Centenario. So I'm definitely going to make a garage video pretty soon in Asphalt 8. I may make a video of some Apollo races leading up to Champion League, not entirely certain about that yet, but I do not know, simply because for the lack of Pro Kit upgrades, when I will be doing the HTT Plether multiplayer video, but you can bet that when I get enough parts for it, I definitely will, because I have been wanting that car for quite a long time. So here we are coming up to the end of this race with an Icona right behind me and an F12 TDF right behind him. Thankfully, we're able to go around the final turn, shockwave, and cross the finish line in first place. But you can see they were right there. Nice to see someone I know, Zachy D, and in this final race in the video, we are facing RPM Freeze, a fellow RPM member, and quite close to me in skill level, so as any true friend would do, I took advantage of him in the beginning. Took advantage of his slipstream, anyway. Anyways, enjoyed this race. It is quite close all throughout it. So I guess now it's time for me to give my general review about this car. As a mid-S-Class car, it is still extremely good, and probably the best S-Class car you're going to get early in the game, as you can get it through career. Once you get the Centenario through the daily car loot, this car will probably be the next S-Class car that you pick up. It's used in a lot of multiplayer seasons, and is overall just a great car. And while it obviously is not as good as something like the Fenner or the Sharon, it can compete against them if you do not have those cars, and if you're a good driver, you can probably pull out some wins against them. So yeah, not a bad car at all, definitely worth using any multiplayer season that it is possible to use in. And you probably have not noticed this, but I certainly have, this car is not in metallic. Well, that's because you have to use this car in time-limited events a certain amount of times, and for some reason I just haven't really used this car in events, mostly probably because I've been using it in multiplayer all of the time. Multiplayer and club races are definitely two of my favorite things about this game. Just like multiplayer was my favorite thing in Asphalt 8, such is the case in Asphalt 9. I don't know why, I just don't care quite as much about getting those super good laps, you know, that other people may get and post on their YouTube channels. That is why I do multiplayer car reviews rather than that sort of thing that a lot of other Asphalt 9 YouTubers do. And it makes me rather unique because there aren't really many other YouTubers who make videos about just a bunch of different cars in Asphalt 9. Dr. Hillusion used to do it, but he doesn't really do that anymore. He mainly uploads event videos. And I suppose the only other fairly large YouTuber who does multiplayer videos of different cars is probably Supersonic SG, who is a fellow member of the the Influencers program. So yes, that is one reason why I do what I do, because I love multiplayer and because it makes my channel very unique. So we come up to the end of this race here, Freeze passes us, and we come in second, but right behind him. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like the video if you've enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt 8 and 9 content, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!